and he went through offensive coordinators. And so we'll set the table here, and then we'll get to Josh McDaniels, because I was I was wondering if this was going to be homerific. Like, number one on the list,
I
Josh
was surprised
McDaniels.
by this list a little bit.
But Josh McDaniels not number one on the list. Number one on the list.
Break it down in segments.
Yeah, they have the best of the best category, which I actually disagree with right off the bat.
It's just easy. Tier 1, Tier 2, and 3, and 4. And
well, you can't say tier. That's a Rich Keefe. They only do that on the midday show.
Okay.
They own tiers. The best of the best. Sean McVay is 1. Andy Reid is 2. Kyle Shanahan is 3. Out of respect, I would have just put Andy Reid number 1, because I think the thing he's done for a quarter of a century with different quarterbacks, different teams, I'm a big fan of. But obviously, Sean McVay is well respected, and Kyle Shanahan supposedly has the most QB-friendly offense in the NFL, the most creative offense. So those are the 3 that are on a tier or a level all their own.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have the Wizards is the choice of words they used, and there's 4 members of this category. Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. Who's actually a Sean McVay guy, sort of disciple. Matt LaFleur with the Packers. Sean Payton with the Broncos. And Ben Johnson of the Bears, who leaves the Lions to take over that poop show in Chicago for Brian Frizzoco. So those are the next tier. Then we have the artists. 3 more. Mike McDaniel. Interesting, because I feel like a lot of people are down on Mike McDaniel in Miami and the Dolphins.
I'm down on it, just his overall head coaching ability.
Yeah,
I think he's a hell of an offensive mind, though.
That might
just snagged a nice tight end, though.
That might be, yes, he did. That might be the comparison with Josh McDaniels there, who I think a lot of people feel that is not a head coach, but is an offensive coordinator. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Browns, and Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator with the Ravens, who has the benefit of having Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I feel like I could be the offensive coordinator on that team.
Right.
Okay, next category, in good hands. So if you're listening, we're 10 deep here, and there is no mention of Josh McDaniels, but there is at number 11 in the in good hands category, a couple ex-Patriots, actually, or current and ex. Josh McDaniels, 11, Brian Dable, the head coach of the Giants, Arthur Smith with the Steelers, and Joe Brady with the Buffalo Bills. So Josh McDaniels, the 11th best offensive coordinator in football. Fitzy, what do we think of that ranking?
I don't think that's unfair at all. I think that's probably appropriate. I was going to say top 10, so he's 11th, and that's pretty fair coming from someone who has followed him for a long time in Phil Perry. Now, if he's able to unlock Drake Maye, if he's able to turn this torpid offense around of the last couple of years, Ted, you should easily see Josh McDaniels make his way back into the top 10. But right now, I think that's 11 out of 32 is basically top third. That's a fair assessment, and especially since we haven't seen him call plays in New England in a couple of years, I full well expect him to be top 10 by this time next year.
The more I think about it, Fitzy, it's hard for me to really disagree with you. It's kind of like, when you look at the names in front of him, you go, okay, that kind of makes sense. And part of it is Josh, what is he really known for? Like, you look at some of these coordinators, you go, Sean McVay, I know exactly what he is. Yep. He's from the Shanahan, okay? Andy Reid is kind of uniquely his own style, right?
I love him.
I do too. So it's kind of like with Josh, like, he's a game plan guy. I don't really, exactly. He's not like, you don't watch his film and go, oh, I want to try that. He just, right. It's more about week to week doing different things that exploits the weakness in the defense. And so it's not like he's setting any trends or he's doing an offense that is like, wow, I've never seen that happen. But he is a solid offensive coordinator, and I think he can develop quarterbacks. I think he can teach them how to read defenses. And really, I think where Josh's strength is, that doesn't necessarily show, you're not going to see it from a stylistic point. You're like, oh, that's the West Coast, or that's the Kyle Shanahan system. It's his ability to teach the quarterback how to get in the right play based on what the defense is showing. So it's almost as if you can't see the genius of Josh McDaniels, because if I see that quarterback, check, audible, check, and then you see a successful play, I'll give Josh McDaniels credit because that's where his expertise is.
And, what is Josh McDaniels known for? And I think part of the negative or whatever is Tom Brady. Oh, it's just Tom Brady. I could have coached Tom Brady. You could have coached Tom Brady. And I don't think people give him enough credit for the various little windows of success with other quarterbacks not named Tom Brady. And there's been a negative tint to sort of talk of Josh McDaniels lately about he puts too much on the quarterback. He asks them to too much. The playbook is too big. The verbiage is too much. Like all these things that aren't McVay, that aren't some of these other systems.
Right.
And maybe even
that proves my point. So it's all about trying to figure out the perfect play based on what the defense,
right,
as opposed to here's the play, go run it. It's a lot easier to do that for a quarterback.
Too much
Correct.
of a perfectionist, you're saying, Ted. Okay.
And even he acknowledged this, I would say, with what he did, which was sort of bouncing around last year, looking at other systems and styles and coaching points and maybe trying to streamline it a little bit or alter it just a little bit. But there is also part of him that says, damn it, we teach the quarterback how to do that, how to get in the right play, the right protection. So he does have the answers to the test, right? Remember the famous Tom Brady, I have the answers to the test?
Yep.
Josh feels like he's giving the guy the answers to the test, like it's an open book exam.
Right.
And they're going to throw stuff at you, and I have prepared you to change based on what you see, right? And there's truth to that, but I also think it's a process. It can be more difficult. I'll tell you what I find.
It really can.
What I find really interesting about this list is at least one name that is behind Josh McDaniels. And that would be Phil Perry's 16th ranked offensive coordinator in the I'm interested category, one spot behind Chip Kelly, who jumps from college football to the Raiders. That would be Cliff Kingsbury, who all I heard last year was the job he did with Jaden Daniels, turned the Commanders around.
How's he behind Josh McDaniels?
I don't know. That's why
he got a rookie quarterback to the NFC Championship game.
I mean, maybe that's recency bias, and maybe Phil was sort of trying to avoid recency bias because he did fail with Kyler Murray as the head coach / offensive coordinator, play caller. There was even some criticisms of him for, didn't he spend the year at USC with Caleb Williams?
There,
and Caleb Williams had a little regression, and some people think maybe Cliff Kingsbury could have played a role there. But last year, if you're doing sort of the here and now offensive coordinator rankings, he should be about 12 spots higher, shouldn't he? He took a rookie quarterback to the NFC
Cliff
title
Kingsbury
game.
over Josh McDaniels right now. Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I think he's more forward-thinking than Josh.
But
I do.
That also could come crashing down.
I think they both
this year.
suck as head coaches, but I think Cliff is a very, very his offensive mind is spectacular.
Hey, Andy, where since you have the list in front of you.
Yes, sir.
Was Nick Sirianni / the Eagles offense to be found anywhere?
So Nick's Kevin Patullo. Anyone's guess category. Yeah, anyone's guess category. Well, this is Andy needs to study some of the coordinators that are in the NFL right now because number 32, Andy. Josh Grizzard, offensive coordinator, Buccaneers. I never heard of that
Grizz.
guy.
He took over for
Liam Cohen, right?
Duval.
Yeah, Liam Cohen moved on to become a head coach. But, yeah, Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, is 29th. Our old friend Nick Caley is 28th with the Houston Texans, where he took over for Bobby Slowick. What are you furrowing your brow at Nick Caley for? You don't like Nick Caley?
Yes, I know he is your offensive coordinator equivalent of Jaylen Brown. You've dubbed him one of your guys.
I like him.
Do no wrong.
It's a nice kid.
I'm very curious to see what he does.
No, I think he's had good experiences. You know where he's been?
First of all,
New England and then L.A. with McVay. I think that's a pretty good background to piece together if you're a pretty good young coach, smart coach.
The guy might be a very good offensive coordinator, but he's got this interesting mix of bringing in 2 new wide receivers from Iowa State, C.J. Stroud on the 3rd year, looking to reacquire what he got in year 1. Peyton Manning defended him, said it wasn't really a regression in year 2. And also, by the way, massive transition on their offensive line. They traded away Laramie Tunsil, so your guy Nick Caley is going to be dealing with a lot of change in Houston. That's why I say it's an interesting position.
And maybe the most interesting tier here is the need more information crew that Phil Perry put together, and one that jumps off the page, this weird hire from last year at 27th, Brian Schottenheimer, who's now the head coach of the Cowboys in a pressure-packed situation.
That's going to be a beautiful disaster down there. Brian Schottenheimer, I've been listening to what he's been selling. So they're changing the culture down there. He is all about changing the culture.
Oh, yeah, whose lockers did he move? He moved.
I forget, but he is
Micah Parsons next to Dak Prescott. Maybe,
big on this culture.
Dak looks ripped.
Oh, dude,
you don't think it's going to work?
I'm not feeling it, man. Dallas is going to be awful again, I think, this year.
And also in that category is a couple guys that, if you remember, people wanted around here. Zach Robinson. People wanted him to come here 2 years ago or whatever with Mayo. And Dave Canales, who became the head coach with the Panthers.
Big fan of that guy.
And they have ridden a weird roller coaster, obviously, with their quarterback situation and the pressure that the owner puts on them. But Josh McDaniels, is he the 11th best offensive coordinator in football?
Actually, the more you think about it, I think that's appropriately fit right there.
Well, and it's also, I think, a little bit like the quarterback position. You know how we talk about at quarterback, there's that group at the top that you just say, yeah, they're the best. And it includes Mahomes and Burrow and Allen and Jackson. And then that next group varies from year to year, right? It ebbs and flows. Like Cliff Kingsbury, if they get off to a good start and you redid this list, Cliff Kingsbury is going to be a top 5, top 8 offensive coordinator. Now, if there's a regression, people are going to say, I don't know what happened last year. Do we blame him? So I think that group, and Josh is the same thing. If the Patriots are 3-1 in September and Drake Maye looks like he's a legit starting quarterback,
what I'm betting on a 3-1 start.
Josh will be up by 7, 6, 5 somewhere for offensive coordinators. So interesting list to keep an eye on. Good job by Phil Perry doing a little.
It is interesting though when you kind of look at the diversity of the offensive coaching staff. Todd Downing, the wide receivers coach, Doug Marrone, the offensive line coach, Thomas Brown, the tight end passing game coordinator. They all come from different styles of offense. And the word is, Josh is hearing all their different styles. I'm kind of curious to see what the offense looks like.
I am too.
With all of these underlings and Josh putting this in a pot and then giving it to what I think is a just amazingly skilled quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be an elite franchise quarterback, but he's a very skilled quarterback. See, what is that? I'm curious to see what that looks like.
It could either be fantastic football fusion of all that coming together, because Josh talked about in OTAs, we're running plays today that I have no experience with. I've never seen before because these guys
want to bring the ego out. He doesn't have an ego.
That's great.
Perfect.
And we'll see how that goes. Or it could be a disaster because there's too many cooks in the kitchen and the flavors don't marry up properly.
That
and
won't
like
happen.
People don't.
I'm guessing against that.
Okay.